Hi guys, and a warm welcome to the Urban Butchery channel with me, Franco. On today's show, we're going to be talking suet. So I'm going to give you a bit of a description of suet, of where it comes from, on the anatomy of the animal. I'm also going to be giving you a bit of information about the benefits of suet and also what it can be used for. And ultimately, I'm going to be showing you how to prepare it and then how to store it. So, without further ado, bottoms up, heads down, you got it. Let's crack on. So, as I said in the introduction, we're going to be talking about beef suet today. So let's crack on with the video. So I'll just come and get the stuff out of the fridge and then we'll get on. So here we are, everybody. We've got our beef suet, and this has been nicely wrapped up in greaseproof paper by my local butcher. So let's unwrap this and just see what kind of a present we have inside. So I'm going to do this with some scissors. Some people would use a knife, but just through health and safety, we're going to use scissors. Just cut that away. Wow, look at this. Beautiful. Now, for people that don't know, beef suet is inside the body of the animal, and what it actually does, it encases the kidney. So if you look at this cavity inside of there, just inside of here, and that's where the kidney would lie, inside of there. Another word which is associated with the beef suet is tallow. For people that don't know what the word tallow means, basically it's the beef fat which is rendered down and then it changes into tallow. So it's when it comes to a hot golden liquid, then it's tallow. Also rendering. Rendering is basically where you put the fat into a pan and you melt down the fat into a golden liquid, and then we sieve off all the impurities, and then it's ready to use for whatever uses that we need it for. It's a very, very versatile food actually. It's really good for frying, as in potatoes, chips, fries. It's great for baking, pastry, pasties, mince pies. You also do puddings with it as well, which is like spotted dick, jam roly-poly, Christmas pudding as well. Also, it can be included in haggis. It makes absolutely fantastic dumplings and dripping as well. And just on the subject of dripping, it was very, very useful back in the Victorian times when there was an awful lot of poor people about, and this was part of the staple diet. And what they used to do with this is something called bread and dripping. So basically they would melt this down, they would spread it over their bread, if they were lucky enough to have bread, and then they would put a little bit of salt and pepper on there and then eat it like that. Another use for it, which is very similar, is if you roast potatoes. You can roast potatoes in the tallow, and then once you've roasted your potatoes and you've had them for your Sunday dinner or whatever, once the fat are dried inside of the cooking pan, then what you would do, you would actually scrape all the tallow out of there, and that would include all the bits from your potatoes, all the crispy bits and all the really nice bits, and then you would spread that on your toast as well. And if the potatoes were overdone, then you would call it mucky dripping, would you believe? A Yorkshire term, I understand. The other thing is about this as well, reason why it was quite attractive to people back in the Victorian days and during World War I and World War II, when rationing was a big factor. It contains a lot of vitamins. We've got vitamin A, we've got vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K as well, and also B12. So all in all, a good overall cut from the animal. So as I said in the introduction, what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be prepping this now, and then we're going to be rendering it down into tallow. But before I can do that, I just want to trim off some of these darker parts here, just to make sure that they don't get included. So just a bit of blood meat there and a few glands and things like that. So look, you find this is, it can be quite a messy job, but worthwhile in the end. So we'll just have a look at that. Doesn't look too bad. Like I said, you'll get a lot of impurities off this, but this will cook out, and I'll explain how we can separate that from the fat once we get to it. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that at the moment. So what we're going to have to do now, we're going to have to chop it into small pieces. Now, what I would say, once you've chopped it into small pieces, what you can do, you can use your liquidizer, or you can use your food processor, or you can just cut it into quite small pieces and put it into the pan. The reason why we do it in small pieces is because it does cook an awful lot quicker and gets down to that beautiful golden liquid a lot faster as well. So I'm just going to chop this up now, just into smaller pieces. Like I said, it will get a little bit messy, but it can't be helped. Like I say, what comes out at the end of this is really lovely. It's a lovely colour, it's a lovely flavour. And very versatile. When I was a young lad working in the slaughterhouses, the pig variation of this used to be used for lubricating the refrigeration lines where the pigs used to be hung on, because you used to have to push the pigs out of the fridge, and there's nothing worse than the lines above being all clogged up and the pigs not being able to move along there. So we used to lubricate the lines by rubbing the fat along the top of it, and the pigs used to be able to be pushed out into the butchery nice and easy. So there you have it, my little lovelies. There's our chopped up suet. So now the next stage of the process is to start to get this rendered down. So what we need for that is a lovely big pan. So here we have our nice deep pan, and what I'm going to do first, I'm going to add a little bit of water in the bottom of this before we put the fat in. Now there's a couple of reasons for this. So just put about that much in. So there's a couple of reasons for this, and the first reason is that while the pan is heating up on the stove, it stops the pan from burning for a start, because obviously the fat's going to take quite a while to render down. And secondly, once the fat is rendered down, what happens is that the water separates from the fat, and the water collects at the top and collects all the impurities on the top. So that's the reason why we put that in there. So let's get it over to the stove and let's get this on the boil. Just get the pan on there and then we'll introduce the fat. Now this is going to take about between 40 minutes and an hour, maybe even a little bit longer, just to get that rendered down into tallow. So we'll come back in a minute and see how we're going. So it's been about 30 minutes, guys. Let's have a look, see how we're doing. As you can see, the fat is rendering down nicely. Just take the lid off. I've got to say, the smell in this kitchen is wonderful. It's a really beefy smell. So there you go. We'll come back to it in a little while and just see how we're going, but you can just see the juices bubbling in there. And that's not the water, that's the fat rendering down. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Let's have another little look. Whoa, look at that. Now you can just see in this part here the fat clearing there. Isn't that a nice sound? Honestly, the smell of this kitchen is just wonderful. It's rich, beefy smell. Nice. So this has been going for about an hour and a half now. And as you can see, there's beautiful, beautiful tallow on the top there. I mean, it's going to take quite a while, I think, this. We're going to be looking at least another hour, possibly a bit longer. But to be honest, the results at the end will be fantastic. And you'll have something which you can store and use in the future. So these are the two containers that we're going to be putting our tallow into. First of all, we've got a glass jar with a rubber seal around the top. So what happens with this, I'm sure you've seen these before, just put that metal clip on there and press it down and that seals it. So what I would suggest is that if you're not going to use the tallow straight away, or the dripping, put it into a jar like that and then put it into the fridge. It'll keep for quite a long time. The one next to it, now this is a little bit of recycling. So this is a tiramisu plastic carton. And what I would suggest with this is that if you're going to be using the tallow quite soon after you've rendered it down, then what I would suggest is that you actually put it into one of these. You find that it'll set quite quick in there as well, really, and you can just pop that into the fridge, and then say you're going to be frying your potatoes or doing your chips a couple of days later, you can just take it out, run a bit of hot water around the edge of it, and pop it out into your frying pan or into your baking tray. Just a little urban butchery hack for you there. So let's get these things filled up. So here we are. This is about 2 hours in this, really. So I'm just going to remove the lid. Just pop that over there. And there you see all the impurities that have come to the top. I think you can see beautiful clear tallow there. So what we're going to do, we're going to remove the impurities off the top, or as much as we can. I've just got a silver tray here. We'll just start to take this off. Almost looks like fish batter, really. So we'll just get the most of this out, and then what we'll do, we'll sieve it. We'll actually put it through a tea towel to get rid of the rest of the impurities. What I've got here is a baking bowl, and on the top of it I've just got an old tea towel. Of course muslin would be really good if you can get all of that. So here goes. So what I've also done before I do it, I've tied a little bit of string just around here, just keep it a little bit taut, and then it doesn't all cave in. So let's go, let's give it a whirl. Just make sure the handles aren't too hot. And then just slowly pour it into there. You can now hear it draining down into the bowl. Of course, this is very hot, and just be very careful when you're doing this. So there you have it. Some beautiful tallow there, coming from the Suet fat. So let's move on to the next step, which is to decant it into its storage containers. We'll take our ladle, and we've got to be pretty quick with this, really, because it will start to set pretty quick. So across and in. So of course, using this container now, this plastic container, you can actually put this into the fridge once it cools down. And I normally would put the tallow into a plastic container like this if I was going to use it in the short term. So say in the next couple of days you're going to be doing potatoes or chips or something like that. I will put it in one of these plastic containers, and then I can just run a little bit of hot water around the edge of it when I want to use it, and then release it and drop it into the pan. So what you see, look at the colour of that, it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful. What I would say, don't overfill this, just put just enough in, because we're going to have to move it in a moment. And now we go on to our next container. So I would normally use this if I was storing the tallow for quite a long time. Now, of course, what you could do is get this straight into a jug and then pour it in there. I've got to say, there is something really satisfying about this. As you can see, as soon as the tallow hits the glass, it starts to set. So that's what I mean, we've got to be quite quick about it. I'm going to leave it on the windowsill to cool down, and then once it's cooled down, we'll come back and have a look at it, and maybe we'll try a bit of bread and dripping. See you in a bit. Well, here we are, guys, at the end of the day, and I've got to say it's been quite a long day doing this this video. So we've come to the end of changing our suet into tallow. We've gone through all the process, and here's the end result. What do you think of that then? Look at that colour, it's absolutely beautiful. And I'll tell you what, it smells absolutely divine. It really does smell lovely. It's still a little bit warm. That's going to come in handy in a moment. But really the smell, I mean, it smells like, when you've done a roast on a Sunday and you've got those crispy burnt bits on the end that everybody really likes. That's what it smells like. It's absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, that's the end of the video, but before I go, I think it would be rude of me not to try some bread and dripping. So let's have a crack at that. Well, here we have it, bread and dripping, and I've got to say it's the first time I've ever tried this. So what we've got some lovely toasted bread, bit of a modern twist on it. We've got our beef dripping, we've got some rock salt and some nice pepper. So let's get on with this. So spread a bit of this on here. Now this toast has just come out the toaster, so this dripping should melt right the way into it. Take a little bit more. Look at that. Just spread that over. Now what we're going to do, we're going to get some salt, rock salt, put that on. And then we've got a bit of black green pepper, and also we've got a mug of tea to wash it down with. So let's crack on. Oh my god, I'll tell you what, wow, that is handsome. You've got a salty taste of the rock salt, and of course you've got a little bit of peppery spice coming from the peppercorns, but underlying that is a beautiful, beefy flavour. We'll try it again. I would recommend this. Give it a go yourself. I'm just to swill it down. A mug of tea. All the best to you. Cheers. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I enjoyed doing it. If you did, then please press the subscribe button. Also press the bell icon, and then you'll be notified of future videos. Also follow the link down there if you want to support the channel. And I'll catch you next time on the Urban Butchery channel. Skills for life.